It's time to leave the world of phonies and fraudsters and turn our attention to people who really need the help of the benefit system. After the introduction of bedroom tax in April 2013, the three-bedroomed house Jennifer Carty had brought her children up in became unaffordable, and she urgently had to find a smaller place to live. Having been out of work for nearly 2 years, her financial situation was dire, and the team at her non-profit housing association were on hand to help.
I know that a lot of people might not be willing to downsize, but for me that was not an issue. The issue more was that I should be able to get somewhere within the area. My family grew up in the area, and I have lots of links within the area, and my mum, who depends on me quite a lot, was actually just up the road from me, so it was important that I was, available for her.
Carol Barnes-Alexander from Family Mosaic suggested that the best way forward for Jennifer would be to join a home swapping scheme.
I told Jennifer that mutual exchange was a very good option because it's the quickest route to be rehoused. Mutual exchange, I think, does make it easier to stay within the area because you have that choice. You can specify those areas.
Carol's team was on hand to help Jennifer start the process.
Let me explain a little bit about the bedroom tax in that case, how it would affect you, depending which way. Obviously, at the moment, with 2 or more spare rooms, and you've got more than 2, then you'll be looking at a 25% cut in your housing benefit, which is obviously a very large amount.
Right.
And you've been looking on the HomeSwapper website, I
That's
believe.
right, yeah.
There's lots of places on there, obviously, you can specify. So what you need to do is find somewhere ideal for you. And once you do that, we can then help you arrange a mutual exchange with that partner.
Facing a 25% cut in her housing benefit, Jennifer knew she wouldn't be able to stay in the house that she called home. But then she didn't need the space. The kids had upped and moved away. Taking part in the mutual exchange meant that not only could she afford to stay in the area that she knew and loved, but she'd also be freeing up a property for a family that really needed it. Swapping her 3-bedroom home for a smaller council property would mean the bedroom tax that had crippled Jennifer financially would no longer be a problem, and Jennifer got straight on the case.
I decided to, go on the internet and see, what was available.
Jennifer actually registered herself. She was quite proactive in that way. She then came into Family Mosaic offices where we helped to upload photographs onto the HomeSwapper website.
So I've made the decision to move, and that side was coming too nicely, but I still needed to sort out the employment side.
Jennifer suspected it was her age that was preventing her from getting a job. The employment officer at the Housing Association who was working with her knows that it's a common problem.
It is normal for people in their 50s to perceive that it's harder to find work because of their age. In my own opinion, I think the fact that they are that age is what they can bring to the workplace.
When I initially met with Patricia and spoke with her, and she went through all my skills and what have you, and she began to encourage me. And from where I was coming from, the depression and all the anxiety that I felt with being unemployed, she really did lift me.
Patricia was determined to get Jennifer back into the workplace and thought that Dina Saleh, a specialist employment broker who works with her team, would be able to kickstart Jennifer's employment prospects.
She's a very bright lady. I was helping her. I was contacting her on a weekly basis, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. I was a bit like a Jack Russell on her ankle.
Now Jennifer had 2 people at the Housing Association on the case, helping her to find work.
They really helped me because I really felt that they were passionate about getting me a job.
Dina looked at Jennifer's work history and skills and then filtered her job search to find roles where Jennifer could really excel.
She was a very organised being, and I did feel that she would really do well as a receptionist somewhere, dealing with people, using her organisational skills.
And just a few months later, Dina spotted a vacancy for Jennifer that ticked all the right boxes.
There was one particular job that I'd seen online, and I called them because a job description is fine, but I really needed to know what sort of person, give me some details, and she did. And I said to her at the time, I've got the exact person that would be absolutely amazing for this role.
The job was working as a receptionist in a dentist's surgery, and Dina arranged for Jennifer to go in for an interview.
When I walked into this interview, I was nervous. So it was a case of girding yourself up and saying, right, I know I can do it. I've just got to let them know I can do it.
Well, when Jennifer arrived, it was obvious she was a mature lady. I was extremely grateful. Another mature lady in the practice. She was calm, collected, well-dressed, well-presented. She listened, she asked questions, she took notes, and seemed to fit all the bills that Dina had said she would do.
The manager looked at me and said, "You've got the job." And I thought, yes, thank you.
She'd done it. Dina and the employment team at the Housing Association had got her back into the workplace, and she no longer had to rely on job seekers' allowance, something she never wanted to have to claim in the first place.
Now I can actually look forward to going to work in the morning. I can look forward to a holiday, which I haven't had for many years. It's a good feeling. And of course, the independence. I don't have to rely on anyone now.
I'm extremely happy that Jennifer's where she is now. She just so deserves it. She's worked hard to get there. It was not an easy road, but she's got there, and she's working, and she deserves every piece of happiness that comes her way.
The next thing Jennifer needed to do was to sort out her housing. Her 3-bedroom council house was draining her financially. She needed affordable housing near her family and friends, and the Housing Association had already been on the case, helping her to find a council tenant with a smaller house or flat to swap with. Jennifer had been looking at potential house swaps for months on the mutual exchange scheme and had viewed many properties. Finding a good swap wasn't easy, but finally she found a match.
Okay, so these are the documents we'll be going through at the sign-up with yourself and the exchange partner.
Okay.
The first two are the assignment of tenancy and the licence, which both of you sign.
Right.
These are documents which basically switch over the two tenancies. So one document says, I'll take over your tenancy, you'll take over mine.
Okay.
And the other one says you'll take over responsibility for the premises and everything.
Right.
So just days after she got her new job, she also found a 1-bedroom flat in southeast London with which she fell in love.
When I walked into it to first view it, I thought, yes, at last I can actually see myself living here now. But when I actually walked into this property, I knew it was the one. I felt quite comfortable with it, so yeah. It's worked out well.
Luckily, the tenants of the 1-bedroom flat were in need of a bigger property, and Jennifer's house just fit the bill. Now, both Jennifer and her swappers are in the right housing, and more importantly, filling all the bedrooms.
For me, giving it up to another family was very fulfilling for me. I felt that I was offering that to someone else, because I remember my experience and where I was coming from. Because the lady that's now in my property has 2 children and they were all in one room, and it just brought it all back to me. So I was really happy to let her have that place.
Thanks to the help of the 2 teams at the Housing Association, Jennifer is in every way in a much more positive place.
Being able to have my independence back, not being dependent on the state, I just feel like everything's come together. It's really good.
For someone who was used to working to pay her way, suddenly Jennifer found herself in a situation she wasn't used to. She had no job, and without that job, she couldn't afford to stay in the place that she called home. She needed help on both fronts. Luckily, there was somebody there to help her find a job that suited her and a place that still felt like home.